Okay, so I don't know if you noticed, but I wasn't acting when I said I love the Beatles. They are my favorite band. So, and we both love music, especially like songs from this era. I know like she has like Sam Cooke's your favorite artist, right?
Yes, definitely. I was raised on like musical documentaries, and my dad is a huge music lover, so we just kind of really wanted to take the Revolution theme for this year and make it our own by making it a revolution that is not really looked at as like the music revolution, because it's so influential.
So I think my Spotify playlist and the Beatles and her love of music inspired us to kind of dive down this road to get this topic.
Definitely.
You guys did a great job, just not just taking the music and contextualizing it and all that, but interpreting it for people that might not know. I loved holding up the different stuff that's in your bibliography. I'm like, oh, that's the source.
That's sweet. That makes me so happy. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I wanted to ask though, one of the things we were supposed to judge you on is multiple perspectives. Did you come across in your research any opposition to this kind of music or anything like that? What did people who didn't like this stuff say? Or
I mean, definitely. With specifically like the British invasion, you have like all these parents are seeing their kids like go crazy over like the Rolling Stones and the Beatles, and they're like, what the heck? Because in the 50s you have like the love songs, and it's like nice and tame because it fits like that era. So when you have like new sounds like rock and roll, like people are really confused, like they don't know what's going on, they're not a fan of the new sounds. And then in like the Vietnam War, there's a song, it's like Ogie from Muskogee, and it's like a direct contrast throughout the entire song. He's like, we are not hippies, we don't know what they're doing, their music is crazy, the way they act is crazy. So just seeing how people reacted, whether they're for the new sounds and the like messages or against.
Yeah, there's always controversy when it comes to things like war, protesting things. People have different sub-opinions, and when stuff like that happened with the civil rights movement, the Vietnam War, everything we talked about in the era happens. Obviously, you're going to get some backlash from people that are more traditional things. So you see that in history.
What was maybe a challenge or a problem or something that surprised you from the time you chose your topic to today?
There's like a lot, because there's
Problem, challenge, or surprise?
There's
Doesn't have
so
to be
much
every-
stuff, especially I don't know, like
I would say we were both surprised at like the effects that the music revolution really had on like today's music, because obviously the like civil rights movement, the Vietnam War, British invasion, everything, you see those effects in real time in the 60s. But we talked about like the Chicks, Green Day, everything like that affecting music still today. And I think that really surprised me personally, with just how influential it is over such a vast time period.
Yeah, definitely researching, like you got to see, like we mentioned that in the script, like this wasn't just like a one and done, you're out of the 60s, you're not seeing any of this influence. It continues on even to this day. And I definitely would say like a challenge, especially in writing the script, is that each of these eras have so much like history and information behind them. Figuring out how to connect them in a way that makes sense, flows, and fits under 10 minutes was definitely a challenge, because there's so much we want to talk about, because they're all by themselves so interesting. Just figuring out a way to make sure it all worked.
well, your timing was perfect. I think you were like, what, 10 seconds?
10 seconds
Yeah.
under.
Wow.
Yeah, nailed it.
What is something that you really wanted to include that you had to cut for the purposes of time, or was there like another artist or something you wanted to talk about, another era?
I think just like some of like the more like in-depth stuff. So like we mentioned Woodstock at the very end, because that was like a big thing, especially during like the Vietnam War. It was like this big like festival for like protesting, and we didn't really have a chance to dive into it, which was kind of a bummer, because in itself that's an extremely interesting era of American music and history. But just like
There were lots of events like that during the time period, like, rallies and very famous things like Woodstock and March on Washington that we didn't really get to dive into as much. We dove a lot into like the music, but I would say the effects of the music are so influential, but we obviously didn't get the time to
even including more like music. I have an entire playlist that I made while researching that is just full of Vietnam and civil rights and the Beatles, and it's just like I can only mention so many songs before my bibliography is 20 pages long. So just like figuring out how to like pick and choose what we put in that will help us move the story along the best.
I love the box. One small thing, your face needs to show the whole time,
Yes.
so the box top was a little bit in your face, so either move the box or, position your face so that we could always see your face.
Yes,
We
ma'am.
saw your face the whole time. Yeah.
Well, speaking of the box, I would love for you to tell us a little bit more about making the props.
Yes, okay, wait. Sorry. Okay, so we started out with this letter, the Vietnam War letter. The name on this is actually one of my family members who was a helicopter pilot who went missing in action in Vietnam, and they just found his body in 2005. So we used that little detail because it's significant to me and my family. And then the rest of this, I looked up a bunch of references for a letter. I think that's in our bibliography to see. So this is a historically accurate letter from Vietnam. So that's one of my favorite props in here.
I really liked the posters because they are actually real posters from that time period. It's in our sources, but we found the whole document with a ton of protests, flyers and stuff for protests, and it's so cool to just see how they were designing things, how they were spreading their messages and everything during that time period. So that was my favorite.
And you gotta show some love for the vinyl.
Obviously.
Big part of our
This
script.
is my dad's music.
This is one of mine. It was thrifted. It's the Beatles live at the Hollywood Bowl, so it's just kind of back there.
If you do get the chance to perform this again, I definitely lean into the stuff, almost like PSA, look at this. It's one of the coolest parts of it, because you did it a little bit with the Beatles when you picked it up and you're
Just
like,
like,
but great job, video.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you so
Thank you
much.
so much.